Hi class, so in this video I just want to give you some quick tips and advice on what you can do to address some areas that you might be having some problems with in teamwork or that you might encounter throughout the semester. So one thing that I just want to point out at the beginning is that this course is really built around the idea of a lot of low stakes assignments. So you'll notice that we have a lot of different assignments and you have a lot of opportunities to really grow and improve as a team over the semester. I didn't want to have your very first team assignment be worth a huge portion of your final grade. That's not a reasonable expectation that you're going to do your best teamwork right at the outset. So this course is really built around this idea that you have repeated opportunities to build on and improve your teamwork over time, and that you can kind of grow together and really learn to function effectively and efficiently as a team. So the advice which I'm really talking about here is adapted from Wolf's book, Team Writing, A Guide to Working in Groups, and it's specifically from Chapter 8, Troubleshooting Team Problems. So I put a copy of this reading in our Unit 3 folder. You'll see it there as a supplementary reading. You're not required to read it, but it might actually be helpful in giving you some examples of how to address some of these issues. And she has some very nice specific language in there that she uses just to show you how you might address some of these issues. So the first and probably most significant issue is just a teammate disappearing entirely. And unfortunately this happens, especially in online classes. We do our best to try and avoid it, but it's going to happen occasionally. In my experience, it doesn't happen that often in this course, but I know that's probably happened a little bit already with some of your teams. Hopefully we don't see any more of this. Hopefully the class has kind of settled down enough that you'll see your teams really remain consistent and active throughout the entire semester. But if this does happen, this is probably something that you can't address yourselves as students in the course. So just notify me when you think that this is the case. I'll reach out and I'll try and let you know if I have any additional information on whether or not that student is staying in the course or having trouble communicating or anything else like that. But just get me involved and I'll do my best to help you, and we'll try and address it as best as we can. Another kind of significant but fairly common problem in this course is that teammates sometimes miss deadlines. And I think that this becomes even more the case early in the semester when we have a little bit more ambiguous kind of schedules and deadlines. So one of the things that you might want to start doing is ensuring that everyone really has a clear concept of what the schedule is and trying to get those people in really early on. If you need to use WhatsApp to communicate with each other and remind each other of that, that's fine. But please don't use it for your main discussions or communications, because I do like to be able to jump in and see what you're talking about and engage with that if there are problem areas or if I need to see evidence that people are really communicating and participating. It's important for me that everything for that remains on Slack. But yeah, set up a clear schedule, make sure that they're really know what that schedule is, contact them if they miss deadlines, and for anyone who knows that they were a little bit behind on that first assignment and weren't engaging early enough, just put it also on yourself to become engaged a little bit more early on, to reach out to your team to make sure that you don't fall behind again like that, because it can be very difficult and frustrating in those situations where it's hard to get in touch with someone and where they're missing deadlines. So a teammate turns in poor quality work. This is something that we talked about in the team charter. What do you do if you see some substandard work or some work that you don't think is quite living up to what you hope it would be? Well, one of the things that you really can do is start to try and explain why that work is substandard, but one of the keys to this explanation is focus it on the work. Don't turn it into a critique of the person themselves. People will shut down if you start openly and aggressively critiquing them, such as, you were lazy, you didn't do a good job. You could say something like, this work could be improved here, or this work is perhaps missing an element here. And it's often really, really effective if you can make specific recommendations, because that's going to help someone really try to improve the work, whereas if you just give a broad critique of it, they're going to have an issue where they might not know exactly how to change what they've done. In these cases, especially if there might be some contention about what is good work and not, it's a good idea to reference the textbook or the assignment sheet just to back yourself up, because you don't want to get into an argument over what is good or not. Again, if the draft is moving in a direction you disagree with, just make sure that you're active early on. Once decisions start being made and something starts getting moved in a direction, people start working on it, it can often be a lot harder to change that at that point. So speak up early, and then if you really do want to see something changed, often doing a little bit of that groundwork yourself, providing a partial draft to show your recommendations, not just expecting other people to change everything themselves. It can be a lot more helpful, and it can really get people onto your side much more easily. If you feel like, just in general, several teammates are just not committed to high quality work, so this is different from, someone turns in poor quality work in one case, but something where you are starting to see trends of people not committed to that high quality work and the level of quality that you want to see. You can also ask for outside input. I'll definitely look at segments of your work. I'm not going to read the entire thing and give you comments on it before you turn it in. That's partially because I can't promise to do that for each and every group whenever they request it due to time constraints, and so it just wouldn't be fair to offer it to some people and not to everyone. But I can always offer you to look at certain segments of it if you have specific questions on it, or if you're looking for some general impressions, are we on the right track, things like that. I'll always give you that type of feedback, and I'm more than happy to help you out with that. But also, if you're starting to see issues, go back to those rubrics again. I tried to make sure that you had descriptions of each of the different areas, so you can try to look at yourself and evaluate your own work and identify areas where it might be falling short. Also, if team members do not seem to be giving adequate feedback, so maybe you want some people to be taking on roles of editors or revisers at certain points in the semester. And if that's the case, and you're seeing that people aren't giving a whole lot of feedback, you might want to start setting up some specific questions about the draft, or establishing earlier deadlines so that people have more time to give that feedback. Because if you're expecting revisions and feedback within the last 12 hours before the due date, it might be difficult. It also might be a good time, if you want other people to look at elements of the draft and discuss all together, to try and set up a synchronous meeting. This is going to be difficult, I know, for some groups. It's going to be easier for other groups, but just even touching base for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, can sometimes make a big difference in just cutting down some of that management time and getting everyone working on something at the same time so you can have better discussions. So if you can do that, it can often really help with trying to make sure that the feedback and the discussion goes well. And finally, if you just don't know how to address it yourself, if you're in the case where you are asked to look at, revise, give advice on different things in the assignment, and you just don't know what to say, I'd say go back to the assignment sheet and look at that case specifically. Know everything that has to appear in the document. Look at the rubric. Think about the case and how people might be using the document and how they could use it. And then start using those notes to review the document. Look for specific things and try and tie your recommendations back to those specific elements of the assignment and the case. And the more that you can do that, the more you're probably going to be able to give really good advice to other people as well. So hopefully this helps a little bit in just thinking about how you can improve on some of the issue areas in teamwork. And as I said, I did post this chapter from Wolf's text on team writing in our Unit 3 folder, and that it can be very helpful in just thinking through some of these issues and troubleshooting these issues if you encounter them. So I hope that your teamwork goes really great in this unit and going forward. But as always, if you have any questions, if you have issues, feel free to reach out to me. I try and be very available to you in order to talk through these things. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing your work as you go forward.